Okay, hi mathematicians, this is Dr. J, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you all about how do you find the equation of straight line graphs. If you've got the graph in front of you, if you can see that straight line and you want to know what's the equation, like is it y equals 3x plus 5 or something like that, how would you find it out? Well, I'm going to teach you how in this video. We're going to go through two examples, and after that I'll show you the sort of the formula that I used in a little bit more detail, and give you a couple of practice questions which you can answer in the comments. So I hope it helps. Good luck. Let's get into it. Okay, so here's our first example. This is clearly a linear graph, which is great. We can use the formula that you see down on the right here. One thing to notice to begin with is we're dealing with some different letters. We've got W here and we've got T here. So first thing I'm going to do underneath this thing on the right, I'm going to put W as my vertical instead of Y equals, I'll leave that part empty, and then instead of X I'm going to put T. So it's going to be W equals something times T and then plus something. In fact, we can do the plus something part quite quickly. That's this here, the y-intercept, because the y-intercept is clearly 2. That's the w-intercept actually, that's where it's touching. It touches that vertical line on 2. So I'm going to put a plus 2 here immediately. Now I just need to do the rise over run part, this part here. So you pick any 2 points you like, any 2 points that are on the line, and you just work out the rise and run between them. Now I've already circled the y-intercept, so I'm going to use that as one of my points. So that's one of them there. The other one, you can use anything. I'm going to use this one because it's a nice, clear, easy one to see. So basically you imagine if you were going to go from one of those points to the other, and I always go from left to right, you would have to track across and then down instead of going diagonally. Now how much did I actually track across? I went from 0 to 160, so that's tracking across 160 to the right. And how much did I go down? Well, I went from 2 to 0, so that's down 2. So when I come over to filling in the formula, I just have to put the rise over the run, and the plus minus here reminds me I need to think, am I going up or am I going down? And clearly I'm going down. If I move to the right, I have to go down, so it's a minus 2 on top of that fraction. And then the run is how much I go across, which is 160 to the right. That's actually the answer to the question already, but you might like to make it simpler by putting negative 2 over 160 into your calculator and making that either a simpler fraction or a decimal. Now if you put it in, I'm going to do it as a decimal because it's a nice non-recurring decimal. If you put that into the calculator, negative 2 over 160, you get negative 0.0125. And that's the number in front of t, and then plus that y-intercept of 2. And that there is your final answer. Simple as that. Okay, here's our next example. Again, clearly a straight line graph. A little bit different than the other one because this one's going up instead of down, but otherwise same story. We're going to use the same formula. We're going to go through the same process, and hopefully you'll see how easy this is. Okay, so first step, we need to look at those letters. And what I'm going to be drawing your attention to is that we've got a W here and we've got a P here. So this one is W equals something times P plus something. Next step, go straight for that y-intercept or w-intercept on this graph. I'm going to circle it here. That's where it crosses the vertical line. You'll see it's the number 20, so I can immediately fill that in as plus 20 over here for the y-intercept. Rise over run, again we need 2 points, any 2 points you like. Once again I'm going to use this point here as my first point. And then my second point, there's options, but you might like to have a look at the graph and see where does it kind of cross nicely, where does that line cross nicely with some of the lines that are already on the graph, because that'll be the clearest and most accurate point to use. Now when I look at it, I look around, the one that stands out to me is this one here, that at 50-40, because it's crossing nicely with the vertical and the horizontal lines, and I know it's going to be exact. So that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so how do I get from that left point to that right point? Well, I go across this much and I go up this much. So that's going to be my rise and my run. The run part, I go from 0 to 50, so that's running 50 to the right. And then I go up, and be careful here, it's from 20 to 40, so it's actually up 20. Let's fill that in to the formula. On top of the fraction in front of p, I've got the rise. Again, it went up by 20, so it's positive 20 this time because it's going up. And the run to the right was 50, so that goes on the bottom. Just like before, that's a perfectly good answer just like that. But you can make it simpler, and I would. 20 over 50 becomes a nicer fraction, 2 over 5, or if you prefer, it's a decimal, 0.4. Just do it on your calculator if you're not sure. Last time I did it as a decimal, this time I think I'll do it as a fraction just to be different. So 20 over 50, that's the same as 2 over 5p plus 20. Simple as that, all done. Okay, so here's a summary of what I've used to work out the equations of those linear graphs. It gives you a bit of information just about what the y-int means, that stands for y-intercept, a little bit about rise and run, and in particular the last point about when to choose a positive or a negative rise over run, called the gradient. I suggest taking a screenshot of this to help you remember it, and if you want to study it again later. Okay guys, thanks for watching. That's the end of that video and how to find the equation from the graph. I'm going to finish with 2 questions that you can try and answer. If you think you know what the answers are, put them in the comments and I'll try and give you some feedback on those in the comments. So thanks for watching. Here we go.